Hello everyone and welcome back to Dungeons & Death Battles, the series in which we search for the most lethal monsters in all of Dungeons & Dragons. Today we will be smashing our way through Season 4, in which 16 deadly dungeon denizens, as voted on by you incredible arena patrons, will be battling it out to see which one of them is worthy of taking home the CR4 crown. The arena rules are simple, the monsters start 30 feet apart, there is no fleeing the map, victory is achieved by kill only, and outside influence is not allowed. And today, I would like to welcome all of you who come to bear witness to a showdown like no other. We've been building up to this point for weeks, during which 16 deadly dungeon denizens have been throwing down in the arena for your viewing pleasure, each one going all out in an attempt to become the grand CR4 champion. And you join us now as we ready ourselves for the final showdown, as only two monsters remain. In the blue corner, the humble herbivore, the savage Stegosaurus, grazes while its handlers prepare it for combat, all while the red corner plays host to one of the most cunning, vicious creatures that the arena has yet to bear, the nefarious Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker. Both of these monsters have risen up through the ranks, each as determined as the last to achieve the title of CR4 champion. On one hand, we have a brawling bruiser, its cannon-like tail securing it win after win, and on the other, a devious spellcaster that utilizes range and trickery to its advantage. These two contenders could not have more different fighting styles, which will make today's battle a sight to behold. As I speak, the teams and our very own kobold stewards are finalizing battle prep, which means we do have time for one more CR4 combatant analysis. As mentioned, in the blue corner stands the mighty Stegosaurus, a very simple beast that boasts a 76 hit point average and 13 AC, with its physical bulk being showcased through its strong strength and constitution statistics, being at 20 and 17 respectively. The Stegosaurus is, however, extremely lacking in the mental department, its prehistoric brain only providing it with a 2 intelligence, with its 5 in charisma not being too far ahead. That being said, this creature does not need to rely on a developed cranium, and as it proved in its last few appearances, brute strength is all it really needs, with its devastating Thagomizer attack having the potential to deal a sky-high 66 plus 5 points of piercing damage on a hit. This murderous strike has been enough to defeat spellcasters, monsters, and even a suit of purpose-built magical armor, and has cemented the Stegosaurus as a mundane arena powerhouse. But will its simplicity be enough to take down its opponent here tonight, as it does face a fellow semi-finalist, which comes to us in the form of the red corner's Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker. This monstrosity has beaten down all comers and slithers into the arena with a 71 hit point average alongside an AC of 14. It does also have a plethora of abilities, although features such as its magic resistance will be of no consequence against its non-magical foe. That being said, its spellcasting could be extremely useful here, with suggestion, darkness, and fear all being magic that has the potential to turn the tide in any conflict. The latter being combined with the Yuan-ti's Devil Sight, an ability that allows it to see through magical darkness, being a truly punishing combination. The speaker can also use its Invoke Nightmare to spell doom for an aggressor, inflicting 4d10 points of initial psychic damage, while also cursing the foe with a crippling fear, and additional damage on subsequent saving throw failures. This is by no means the extent of the Yuan-ti's strength though, with its extremely long-range Spectral Fangs attack being the clincher of many a combat up to this point. This attack of course having a range of 120 feet, and dealing 3d8 plus 3 points of necrotic damage on a hit. As if that wasn't enough, the Nightmare Speaker also has an extremely strong set of statistics, with no modifiers being below a +1, and immunity to poison damage and the poisoned conditions being icing on this otherwise extremely lethal cake. And with all that said, it does look like the teams and our kobold stewards are ready, so brace yourselves as the arena is about to get bloody as we roll into the very final match of the CR4 League, the Season 4 finale. Thank you to everyone who has watched this season. Throw a like down below if you've enjoyed yourselves, and prepare to do so once again as we roll in for initiative, kicking off with the Stegosaurus and its -1 modifier. And so Stegosaurus rolling in, looking for a strong start here. It's going to need to do everything in its power if it's to overcome the strength of the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker. So Stegosaurus rolling in -1 modifier, as it rolls in with a very respectable 16 -1 for 15. That is a solid start there from the Stegosaurus. Let's see if the Yuan-ti can best that. Of course, rolling in with its +2 modifier. And the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker has rolled in with a natural 20 to kick off this final round. Could this be a sign of things to come? The Sinister Serpent rolling in as high as possible, securing itself the pole position. It could not have asked for a better way to start the final round. And as such, it will be kicking things off by moving 30 feet away from the Stegosaurus using its full movement speed, where it will then maintain just within reach to begin by invoking a nightmare upon the dinosaur, which must now make a DC 13 intelligence saving throw or be subject to 4d10 points of psychic damage and the extremely deadly frightened condition. And so Stegosaurus rolling in, DC 13 intelligence saving throw. It does have a -4 modifier to this. Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker choosing its moment as the Stegosaurus rolls in with an 11 -4 for 7. That does mean that the Stegosaurus has failed that initial saving throw as the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker causes it to see all kinds of illusory horrors, which will immediately inflict the beast with 4d10 points of psychic damage. So rolling in. And that is a very, very low-end roll there for damage, with 2 3s for 6, plus 4 for 10, and topped up by that 1 for 11 points of psychic damage, which will be dropping the Stegosaurus from 76 to 65 hit points. But damage was hardly the biggest win from this attack, as the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker has rendered the Stegosaurus frightened, a condition that of course means that the Stegosaurus will now have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls, with the most crippling of all the effects being that it will not be able to approach the source of its fear. And the Yuan-ti has strategically placed the illusion directly in between itself and the Stegosaurus, which does mean that while the Stegosaurus can see the illusion, which it does believe to be completely, absolutely real, it will be unable to move toward it. It should mean that the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker has something to hide behind for now. And with that, we are going to hand over to the Stegosaurus, which is going to begin its turn by swinging its Thagomizer towards the illusory foe that the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker has manifested before it. Its tail, of course, swinging straight through the illusion, doing absolutely no damage as the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker watches on. And that will bring an almost instantaneous end to the Stegosaurus' turn, which does now get this opportunity at least to roll in to see if it can break free from the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker's illusion. However, if it does fail this save, it will be taking an additional 2d10 points of psychic damage. Stegosaurus rolling in, its intelligence modifier being a massive handicap in this situation. However, it does still have a chance. Stegosaurus rolling in -4 intelligence saving throw to beat a DC 13. And there's that 11 once again with -4, dragging that all the way back down to 7, which does mean that the Stegosaurus maintained under the effect of the Nightmare Speaker's Invoke Nightmare ability. And due to that failure, it will be continuing to swing away, as it believes that the very illusion itself is fighting back, and therefore it will be taking an additional 2d10 points of psychic damage. So rolling that in once again, as the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker's illusory manifestation inflicts damage upon the Stegosaurus. And a 10 and a 2 on those dice, going to total up for 12, which will be dropping the Stegosaurus from 65 to 53 hit points, as we do hand back over to the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker, which, while maintaining a very comfortable distance away from its huge opponent, will be starting to sling in with some spectral fangs, a sinister smile crossing its face, as it knows that it has the clear advantage at the current moment. And so first of those spectral fangs rolling in, +5 modifier looking to beat an AC of 13, and a 9 +5 for 14 will do it just about, but it will be enough. And that does mean that we will now be rolling in with 3d8 plus 3 points of necrotic damage, as the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker is just essentially shooting a fish in a barrel at this point. But all that said, the Stegosaurus does still have a chance to break free, although damage will now be rolling in for that initial spectral fang. 3d8 plus 3 points of damage. And again, another fairly low roll there from the Yuan-ti, with 2 3s for 6, plus that 1 for 7 being topped up by that 3 for another 10 points of damage, which will be dropping the Stegosaurus from 53 to 43 hit points, as a second spectral fang whizzes in. And with an 18 +5 for 23, that second shot there is absolutely going to connect, no problem. And rolling in once again, another set of 3d8 plus 3 points of necrotic damage. That's mildly better, with what is essentially 2 8s coming together for 16 points of damage, plus 3 to make for 19 damage total there, which will be dropping the Stegosaurus even further from 43 to just 24 hit points, as the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker utilizes its cunning and ranged prowess to pepper the Stegosaurus with a barrage of flesh-melting attacks, as the Serpent seems to be finding a lot of pleasure here in bombarding both the Stegosaurus' mind, body, and soul. With all that said, We do hand back over to the Stegosaurus, which finds itself in a very, very tough predicament, with fear still raging inside its mind as it fights against the manifestation before it. The Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker's concentration remaining unchallenged as the Stegosaurus is simply unable to move towards it. And it will once again swing out with that Thagomizer, directly catching the vision, but being unable to do so much as any damage, as its Thagomizer fails to catch on to the spectral apparition. As we come to the end of its turn, once again, it will be able to make a saving throw against that invoked nightmare. A DC 13 intelligence saving throw with its -4. Can the Stegosaurus break free? There's only one way to find out. And rolling in with a 12, -4 to total for 8 does mean that the Stegosaurus is simply unable to break free from this intelligence shredding condition. Its brain simply unable to process what is going on before it as being supernatural, and it fights on against the Yuan-ti's spectral spirit demon, unable to differentiate it from reality. And of course, as it does so, it fully believes that the ghostly figure is biting out towards it, and as such, you will be taking another 2d10 points of psychic damage on that save failure. So rolling in. And that is a 10 and a 1 polarizing rolls there from the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker, as it inflicts yet another 11 points of damage on the Stegosaurus, dropping it from 24 to just 13 hit points as we enter the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker's full turn once again. That hideous smile crossing its face as it lets out a bellow of shrieking laughter as it feels it has the Stegosaurus completely outmatched and outgunned here. Its mental magic just causing an absolute upset in the arena tonight. And the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker continuing to roll in with what it does best, and that, of course, is 2 more spectral fang attacks. +5 rolling in, looking to be that AC of 13. But just roll in with a 7. And that is not going to be a success right there for the Yuan-ti, as its previous bout of hysterics has clearly put its aim slightly off. But it does have another one to roll in with. Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker, another spectral fang, +5. +5 versus AC 13. And a natural 1! What can we do about that? The Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker has put itself off. It so clearly believes that it is in the pole position to win here, that it is just not even trying. Or if it is, it's laughing so hard that it has just fired off some random spectral fangs into the audience. Duck and cover. Hopefully the kobold barriers are coming in handy tonight. But with that, we do hand over once again to the frightened Stegosaurus, which keeps on swinging at that phantom in front of it. Before we move on to the end of its turn, we'll once again make that DC 13 intelligence saving throw to see if it can, of course, break that fear. The crippling -4 modifier, of course, being subtracted to this. Of course, rolling in, looking to be that DC of 13. And with a 10 -4 for 6, the Stegosaurus' brain just cannot handle the situation that it is under. And as such, it will once again be taking 2d10 points of psychic damage as it continues to believe that the apparition before it is biting down upon its flesh and hide. Rolling in. And that right there is 14 points of psychic damage as the Stegosaurus' brain just gets shredded once again by that energy, with that 14 points of damage being enough to bring it from 13 points down to 0. The Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker not even trying anymore, as it appears to be rolling around on the floor in hysterics at the sheer inability of the Stegosaurus to be able to do anything against it, perhaps cementing itself as a heel in the arena due to the sheer audacious nature of its celebration, as it puts the Stegosaurus down and out of its misery without so much as a single attack against it. This does mean that we have our CR4 champion. The very final round has been won by the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker in an unbelievable display of spell and combat prowess, winning to such a degree that its opponent was unable to act at all, using cunning and intelligence in order to disable the creature that could have brought it down given another set of scenarios. But with all that said, the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker has performed outstandingly tonight and will therefore be well deserving of the CR4 crown, cementing it in Dungeons and Death Battles history as the 4th arena champion, which does mean that it will be ascending through into the CR5 season, where it will get the opportunity to battle it out against creatures above its pay grade to see just how far it can make it against them. And with all that said, I would like to thank you all very, very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this battle in which the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker ascended up, having become the champion of the CR4 League. And if you did enjoy what you saw, please consider dropping a like on the video, commenting down below, and of course, subscribing to the channel. There will be many more combats to come, with the advent of the CR5 League not far away at all. In fact, voting for the CR5 roster is currently live over on Patreon, so if you haven't checked that out already, please go do so, as we will get your chance to vote in your favourite CR5 creature. Make sure they get the chance to represent themselves in the CR5 League. The membership to do so over there is completely free, and while you do have to sign up, there is no monetary requirement whatsoever, so be sure to go and check that out. And as always, a massive thank you to those who do support financially. It is very, very much appreciated. But with that, thank you once again very, very much for watching, and I'll be back with another video very soon.